Jasper. Jasper.
No. I'm going to circumvent this right now. We love and adore Jasper, and it's my turn to be the loud, obnoxious one. Unless Jasper wants to tell me.
Brace yourselves.
You know what? Never mind. I've been overruled. Jasper, go ahead.
Well then, first I would just like to say, first of all, I want to say you use the tranquilizer, I'm gonna rip your spine out and floss it with my teeth!
Kinky.
That thing doesn't work on me! It only increases the anger of my anger, and you is...
Okay. Down, Jasper. Down, Jasper.
You!
I'm pressing the magic button.
Super kinky.
I really appreciate the relationship.
Were those sleeping dogs?
I question your relation of relating to relate.
That will be a yes, okay.
Welcome, everyone, to this episode of Reviewers Web. We have with us today Aeon of Dreams,
Hello, everyone.
who has given us the episode of the day and will be our special guest this week. In the meantime, I am Fiaura, but it is not my turn to introduce myself by any stretch of the imagination, because if I recall correctly, last week we started at the top, didn't we?
I guess.
Which means Brony Critic. It's your turn to go first.
I feel so special. Hello, everybody. I am the Brony Critic. I specialize in fandom reviews and criticism of fan content. You guys can find me on YouTube and on Twitter. I also do a little bit of writing on film fiction, or it's my hope to do a little bit more writing on film fiction. I also am a routine panelist at places like TrotCon, and I'll be going to BronyCon this year as well.
Okay, Moon Knight.
Okay, I'm Moon Knight. I usually, well, not so usually because of some work stuff, but I usually do reviews, covers, and, well, talk about video games here and there. But yeah, that's mostly what I do. So yeah, on to, who is it, Master Code? Or...
Hello, everybody. This is your super awesome ace analyst Master Code here, reviewing all things pony, from the books to the comics to the TV show and everything in beyond. Mr. Jasper Pat.
Put me in cause I can taste the biscuits.
Did you tranquilize him that hard?
Hey, he was so out of control that one tranquilizer just wasn't enough.
I think he shot like 5 times or something.
I think you're gonna count much higher than that.
Comes in my bed.
Alright, well, why don't we give Spyro an antidote? Insane.
Why don't we give Spyro an antidote?
I got dyslexia.
Well, yes, I am Insane Spyro, the greatest dragon in gaming, and being the only British one here, and the only one that can speak Old English, thou thinkest that it is best to introduce thyself in the Royal Canterlot voice. Golden.
I didn't vote for you!
Hi, Jasper. By the way, Insane Spyro, would you like to join me in some tea?
Oh, that would be most lovely. We can have some tea, we can have some scones, and if you really like and you're really special, we can end off with some crumpets and Jaffa cakes.
Or we can throw it into the harbor.
If I could just,
I'm kind of with Aeon of Dreams over there, or we could throw it.
if I could just say something real quick about Insane Spyro's thing, because it'll bother me for the rest of the day. Technically, it's not Old English. He was speaking in early modern English.
No, it was like before the crumpets and everything.
Anyway.
So yes, about the intro. So yeah, hi everybody. I'm on Golden Fox. I review episodes of MLP, movie reviews on I stream Let's Plays on Twitch, which I've recently got back into. So, yay!
And I am your host, Fiaura. You're all here anyway, so I'm not going to say a whole lot about myself. But we have someone very special with us today. Hello, Mr. Aeon of Dreams.
Hello, dearie. Thank you. Yeah, as just mentioned, I am Aeon. I usually do analysis videos. I do have to get back into that after some real life stuff got in the way, but hopefully I should be back soon. Mostly make videos of more of an odd nature. I don't really do reviews all that much, but you can also find me at I'm on Blissy's channel a lot, actually. Yeah, my YouTube link is over there. So, hello, dearies.
So, since you were our guest this week, do you want to start us off, or do you want to let someone else start?
I'm a little bit new to this. I just basically start talking about what I liked and disliked.
Yes, talk about what you like, what you didn't like, and if there's something very specific that you want to say could be fixed, explain how you would fix it.
It would also help if we knew what the episode was.
Oh right, I should do that. We watched Luna Eclipsed, season 2, episode 4. I'm having a bad dyslexia day. I had a bad pain day and a PTS day earlier this week, so now it's time for it to come full circle. We watched Luna Eclipsed, season 2, episode 4, as Aeon of Dreams has chosen this week's episode.
Also, Icon's ready. I'm sending it over.
Yeah. Now, my reason for picking this episode is probably different than some other people might pick an episode. Here, it's not an extreme passion for it, and it's not like I have some great philosophical rant here about how I learned a deep secret about the mysteries of the universe in between the lines or something. It was actually just, I liked it because it was one of the older episodes. I had a lot of, if you might say, nostalgia for it. It's been years, so I think it qualifies as nostalgia now.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, but I like that it was sort of a general, sort of just like a general old slice of life episode that ticked off all the old nostalgic boxes. Because I'm not going to pretend that nostalgia wasn't a thing here. I just mentioned it 3 times. Also, that Halloween is my favorite holiday. So I can go more into depth about this, but if you want my preamble, thesis statement, however you want to word that, it's I like that it was just a general episode from the old days.
Okay. Is there
Anyone else wants to? Wait?
Well, initially you just go over, the general episode, but is there anything else you want to highlight in particular before we move on to? Because this is also your chance to cite, what you didn't like about the episode, what you thought worked really well, or what you thought worked poorly.
I don't have too many legitimate criticisms. Because obviously, being one of my favorite episodes, I'm not going to see anything immediately terrible. I can think of probably some nitpicks, but nothing major. Most of what I've seen here is just general slice of life stuff that I liked. The point where I might differ with a lot of people here is I don't necessarily view Pinky as having necessarily done anything wrong. I think it was just a big, open... You might say it was a character study in being socially unaware, with 2 socially unaware characters, vaguely. Mostly because, if you don't mind me going into depth about this now, or do you want me to pass it off? Okay.
This is your chance to stand up on stage.
So yeah, I suppose this would be the biggest thing to talk about for me, and that would be I don't view Pinky as having particularly done much of anything wrong for a few reasons. First off is that she's not really aware of Luna's social awkwardness. In fact, most of the characters don't appear to be. And it is part of the fun and revelry of sort of a Halloween or Halloween-esque holiday in this case, that you sort of celebrate the dark side and the idea of terror and all this other stuff. So the idea that she's doing it's just a show for the kids, when she's pinned down, she's like, well, of course I know she's not going to eat me. If you ask me, that just fits in line with that. Now, you could say that Luna is blameless here because she's been away for 1,000 years and seems ignorant of her own holiday and what it was about, even though she does grasp it by the end, thankfully. It's more like, I would say it's like a very victimless thing, because it's not Luna's fault that she's socially unaware, but it's also not necessarily, say, Pinky's fault for just playing up to the norms of the holiday, so to speak.
Okay.
Anyone?
Is there anything that you could think of they could have done to make it less jarring?
Less jarring. Well, not like a major criticism of mine. I do wish that the way Pinky was behaving could have been, perhaps if I tweaked it myself, maybe the audience would probably be a little bit more let on to the whole she's just playing it up for the revelry of the holiday. If that was presented much earlier, or at least hints were given to it earlier, that's probably what I would have done. You might be able to argue for it because of the hyperbole in her voice, or assumed hyperbole, but if it was just a little more obvious, as opposed to just me, as you can hear me now, projecting that, particularly at Fluttershy's house, I think that would make it a little bit better, because it's more or less, because when we hear her explain this to Twilight, it's kind of like a 2-second conversation for a lot of behavior in the episode, and the 2-second clarification doesn't really stick in your mind as much as, 15, 20 minutes of everyone screaming, running away, and all that other stuff.
Okay. Is there anything you want to add before you pass the buck?
Nothing I can think of, but I should probably state for the record, when I brought this episode forward, and this is mostly for the audience, this isn't with the idea that the episode is perfect. I just think it captures a certain nostalgia really well, or a certain theme really well. So, needless to say, I'm not gonna react poorly to criticisms of the episode, because even I don't think it's perfect.
Okay. Well, Brony Critic, since we're starting at the bottom with the analyst this week, it's you're up, mister.
I find it really interesting because I think I agree with Aeon on absolutely everything he said. It's not the best episode, but it is just a very simple, well done, well drafted episode. It does have that one element that I call it the "Damn It Pinky" episode, where it's one of those things of the only reason that the situation elevated to the point it did is because Pinky has no understanding of social cues whatsoever. But, I absolutely agree with him that the best solution I think that could have improved this episode is if they implied from the very beginning that she's playing up the ridiculousness of the holiday, that she's actively going out of her way to be frightened or scared. I think if they had presented that, like in that opening segment where, they're at Twilight's house, I think if they had built that up a little more, it could have helped strengthen the episode overall. But that's nothing more than a nitpick, really. It's still just a solid episode. I love the characterization of Luna. She's adorkable in the best possible way. All of the characters do well, and no one really gets hit with the stupid stick. It's just there's a particular situation where if they just built it up a little more or presented it just slightly differently, I think it could have made what's a very fine episode into a really great episode.
Okay. Any particular thing, good or bad thing you want to highlight, or you want to move on to Shoujo?
One thing I did rather like, this is just my Spike fanboy going about, is I liked that Spike didn't play a major role, but what part he was there was well done, well balanced between being snarky and well intentioned. Although it does confuse me a little bit why he goes, "She's Nightmare Moon," when very clearly he's met all of them. He was there with the whole Nightmare Moon thing. He can very clearly tell the difference.
He really wasn't actually. In the pilot episode, he fell asleep.
I was gonna say, yeah, didn't Twilight tuck him into bed before they went off to do the dare and do getting all Nightmare Moonish thing?
Yeah, there is that part, but I mean, he still actually was in the scene where they introduced her to the town, which is another small thing that I don't really get is, Luna was introduced to the town, so why did the town act as if, you know, as if there was some great big huge, like deal that Luna was in town again? Because based on the timing, this episode probably only takes place like 3, 4, maybe 5 months after the pilot episode.
This is something, if I may interject here, this could be the result that within that short span of time, they're still trying to, like, they're still accustomed to what Nightmare Night is all about and what people remember as Nightmare Moon. And it also didn't help that when Luna made her return and used the Cantalot voice, it was a huge backfire. So now people are kind of drawing back with, whoa, the way she talks and everything. They're not sure if they can trust her yet. I mean, it was a very short time when you think about it.
I can see that.
I was gonna say maybe they just didn't recognize her with a new haircut, because between now and her first appearance in part 2, she went through a total character redesign.
Ah, yes, Satan looks so much cuter now.
There he is. There's that Lucifer we all alone. No.
I mean, it's nicer than what I was going to say.
Okay.
Yeah, but yeah, that's my opinion. I'll pass it to Shoujo.
Okay, hi everyone. I'm back from dinner, and I guess it really helps that I semi-recently did a review of this. A few bullet points. One of the things that I really liked about this episode is just how adorable Twilight and Luna were. I just really loved some of the moments and interactions that they had in the episode, and it was just really cute. And while I do agree with what everyone was saying about how Pinky doesn't know how to read a room, in my review I talked about how it's the second season, and the writers are probably still trying to figure out how to write films, so they're probably seeing what works and seeing what is just seeing what sticks. So maybe that's why some of the things in the episode happened, so there could be a plot, like the age-old, it has to happen because the plot says so. Other than that, I have to agree with Aeon and Brony Critic saying that this was just a really nice episode.
Okay. Is there any way you could think of to fix it? Or is it just growing pains and there's nothing we could have done back then to fix it?
Did you lose connection?
I have no some of us have been popping in and out. He might be in a dead zone or something.
Could be AT&T.
We'll flip to Moon Knight, and if he comes back, we'll ask him then. Moon Knight!
Okay, so this episode, I think it's actually a bit kind of nostalgic now that you think about it, because it was kind of, I think it was one of the first episodes that I actually watched when they were airing and not just on YouTube or on any page when I was starting to watch the show and everything. It's a really good episode. The only like kind of obnoxious, no, it's not even obnoxious. Like at this point it was like a little bit, how should we call it? It was like a bit annoying, but it wasn't as annoying as in other episodes from later seasons that we've seen, where they're totally stupid, they totally don't know how to act, they totally act out of character. I think in this one, she's kind of being in her character, but the later reason of why she's doing it, you could have told her, because she saw that Princess Luna was trying to actually be kind and everything. And even then, she really tried so hard just to make her look like she was still Nightmare Moon. But yeah, aside from that, I mean, the jokes were really funny. Spike was actually really funny. He wasn't just a typical. He wasn't just a joke. He was actually making the jokes, not like in later episodes. But anyways, it was a really good episode. Oh, what
It was
was
actually. Oh, sorry. It was actually something I
no.
forgot to mention in mine.
Mhm.
It was an interesting coincidence, which, whether or not it was intentionally put in, I'm significantly doubtful. The only point at which this might have been put in would have been, like, say it was full on intentional, would have been Lauren Faust's love of mythology, but it's sort of out of what I usually seen of her. I noticed interesting parallels between the Legend of Nightmare Moon and fairy lore, Irish fairy lore, or Shie lore, at around Samhain, which is, for those who don't know, that's Celtic. That's basically Celtic Halloween, or the OG
Yeah.
Halloween, where you use like specific honorifics to refer to the fair folk. So you'd call them. I don't know what it is in Gaelic, but it translates to the good people. And you would wear costumes to disguise yourself, and it was so that the fair folk would walk among you. So in this case, if Luna is the fair folk, then she is walking among them. You wear a costume as a disguise, but you would also leave out food and offerings as a pleasant offering to them. Now, that was probably just through the cultural Halloween, because a lot of that is still alive today in American Halloween. So I don't know. I don't think that was intentional, but I thought it was a cool parallel.
I think it is a parallel. Maybe it wasn't that sort of intentional, but it kind of looks like they were going to like more, what should we call it, like more of a background of the celebration itself in Ponyville, because, well, they had to like come up with a way to do it, so they had to do it because, oh, it was an offering to this big deity who could have just come in and snatch us any night if we don't like give her any tribute, which is kind of like what should we call it, one of, I think there was some Mexican deities that looks also like they had to offer some food or stuff to them, but yeah, maybe they went more for the cultural reference instead of just the the USA celebration.
Okay.
You just get out. Oh, you finished.
Master Code. What do you
Well,
have to
so,
say?
Sojo. Well, Sojo, he remember he cut out, so you can just go back to him.
Sorry, I didn't say he was back. Shoujo.
Okay, what I would do to fix the episode is like what Aeon and Brony Critic were saying. Have it alluded to earlier on in the episode that it's being played up for poops and giggles and all that stuff, and and just say earlier on that she's doing it because it's fun to be scared, because I myself am a bit of a horror junkie myself, so I understand that, but it wasn't stated in the episode so that we could understand until that 2-second blip that happened, where it happened so quick you may as well blink and you'll miss it. So if I was to fix it, make it happen earlier on in the episode, or make it a little bit longer. Okay, after you, Master Code.
Okay. So as for me, this is actually one of my favorite episodes of season 2. I actually relate to it a lot, especially to Luna, but I'll get to that in a second. I liked I love the atmosphere of this episode, from the costumes to the decorations. Again, raising the nostalgia of trick or treating and whatnot. I loved it. My my favorite costume. There were tons of great ones, but mine would simply have to be Mac the Ripper, because that one was most clever. And then, real quickly, I got to imagine what the conversation between Twilight and Spike was, before the holidays. Like, so, Twilight, what are you going to be for Nightmare Night? I'm going to be Star Swirl the Bearded. I'm Star Swirl the Bearded. What are you going to be, Spike? I'm going to be a dragon.
Gasp!
It's like, but you're already a dragon. I know, but I could be a purple dragon. But you're already a purple dragon. Don't question me. So yeah, I thought that was kind of a funny bit. This next bit, this is not much of a nitpick, but just kind of a funny observation, because when I'm really thinking about it, when we think about the lore of Nightmare Night, what is it? Where all the ponies, they wear disguises so that Nightmare Moon doesn't find them and gobble them up, and to appease Nightmare Moon, they offer her candy. So, that's fine for kids and stuff. But I'm just thinking like realistically. So these kids, they go around, they collect a bunch of candy, and then they go off to the statue of Nightmare Moon in the woods, and then they just drop off some of their candy. It's like, where's that candy go? Does the wildlife just chew on the candy? Does they just eat it up, or is it just left?
Probably Pinky just ate it all.
The old hermit that lives out in the Everfree Forest just eats the candy.
Yeah, that was just a funny little observation when I was really thinking about it. Anyway, I also like the symbolism at the part where Twilight approaches Luna standing in front of her own statue, and if you look closely, you could see that the statue of Nightmare Moon, its shadow is over Luna. It's symbolism. It's symbolizing that she's still carrying the weight and debt of her past of Nightmare Moon. Did you get it? Did you all see it?
Would
I
you
thought it was
say
just a
Right,
lightning
yeah,
effect.
or you couldn't see anything happening.
would you say she's living in Nightmare Moon's shadow?
I was gonna say she was living in the dark side of the moon, but you just killed the joke.
Excellent
then,
song. Another early Brony reference. That is an excellent song.
And then anyway,
Thank you.
one of my criticisms is I'll get to Pinkie Pie in a second, but pretty much everyone's talked about that. But the one thing I noticed was the part where Luna gets frustrated near the end of the episode, and she makes the spiders come to life. I understand that you're frustrated, but it's like, oh, you want fun? This is the idea for fun. I'm going to turn these cute little fuzzy arachnids into living deadly arachnids, and they're going to swarm all over you. How is that fun? I'm like, in any real world setting, like, how would you promote that as fun? As a bunch of spiders crawling all over you? But if they had played it off as like, maybe it was more like an accident, maybe like it's like, oh, whoops, these came alive, that's not good, and then everything's going all to hell and whatnot. But that was my other criticism. Going back to Pinkie Pie, what everyone said, I immediately thought back to Swarm of the Century, where she's leaving out information, not telling any pony everything. Kind of pulling that same thing here, but I can kind of let it slide, just because it's not a dire situation. Previously we had parasprites trying to swarm all of Ponyville and tear it down, and here it's just fun little holiday, so I can let that pass. Anyway, the reason that I really like this episode was
30 seconds.
What's that? I'll save that for later. So I'll pass it on to Jasper Pie, and I'll continue with my other stuff later.
Well, as for me, I really liked the episode overall. I loved the spooky decorations, everyone's costumes, and some of the jokes. And actually, I heard there was a deleted scene with Rarity. Now I kind of wish that we got to see it. And actually, kind of going off of what Massacode said about the spiders, I just had a horrifyingly dark thought. What? Years ago, when Luna was a mere child, her parents made her play with the spiders in the basement. So why do they? And that's why she thinks spiders are fun. And that is terrifying. Why do I feel
No,
like
there's a better reason.
Well, it's the closest reason I can get why she turned a bunch of spiders into live ones and to say it's fun. Okay, I don't
Tell me,
have
guys, you're a Lucas fan. Seriously, just watch Lucas. You'll love spiders, especially the jumpers. They're so cute.
No, still afraid of spiders no matter how beady-eyed Lucas is.
But they dance, and they wear dew as hats.
Anyways, I also kind of felt a connection to Luna during the whole situation, because I myself have problems picking up social cues. Social cues, like when people are messing around, when things are joking. I take things seriously sometimes. Yeah.
You?
Shut up! Silence all existence in your mouth region! Or do that. That is also a good thing. Just keep doing that. And yeah, when I first saw the episode, yeah, I'll admit that Pinky's little spiel did annoy me. But looking back, like it's just yeah, it's mostly a matter of just miscommunication. I think the one thing I would change, everyone else kind of said, I would also maybe have her, let's have her bake a cake for Luna just to say, hey, sorry I kind of wrecked your self esteem and made everyone afraid of you, but I was just having fun, so have this cake to say I'm sorry. And I think maybe you work on spacing out Rainbow Dash's little lightning in prank, or maybe just have her one more cut. As the gap between the first time she pulled the prank and this just seems kind of weird.
Maybe because she was going around town, but it would have been fun if someone else, well, aside from Luna at the end, but if something went wrong with the cloud.
And I feel like an additional time of her doing the prank wouldn't have hurt, but that could just be me. Spyro, that's your cue.
All right then. Well, first I'm going to answer everybody's question. Why did Luna think the spiders were fun? Well, what can spiders do? They spin webs. They get people tangled up in webs. That, children, is what we call bondage. And
Oh my god, are you
everybody
I
likes
serious?
a bit
was
of
going to
bondage.
say something about
that's
that,
even worse
but
than
I wasn't
mine.
going to be the one. I was going to let Spyro say it.
That's on my list of favorite things.
It is,
Okay, for that matter, why wasn't Aeon the one who said it?
I'm waiting for you guys to talk because I don't like cutting people off.
He's just a guest here.
But yeah, so she thinks it's fun because that's what she's into. I should know. Secondly, where does all the candy go? Well, that's because of a plot hole that happened in the episode where when Twilight says, she goes to see her at the shrine, Luna's like, you took away our dark powers. Now allow me to use my dark powers and transform into my darker half.
That seems to be an illusion, though.
Yeah, but I mean, you look at that, it's an illusion that works. She can just come grab the candy when no one's looking after everybody leaves.
Oh, sure, I agree with that, but I don't think an illusion spell constitutes, dark powers.
Yeah.
It's a pretty basic spell.
But I did there were certain things in here that I'm sure didn't fly over everyone else's head too. And Spyro, that's a good elementary attempt at being lewd, but there are two other things that you missed. One was Applejack's bedroom eyes, that's number 2. And 3 was, I wish to have you scream screams of joy.
I'm right back. I need to check something real quick.
I also...
There's also another one where the green ghosty thing that Zakora makes literally jumps at the children and eats the children. So there's your vor fetish as well.
I don't really do it when it includes children, though. I just took it as a horror thing and left it. I've got morals, you see.
We are ruining Fiaura's podcast.
No. We haven't gone that far yet. We're still technically in the family-friendly zone.
Hello, this is Equestria Daily. We hear you've been talking about some rather unsavory material. Have you been talking about unsavory material?
And all I have to do is look over and go, Silverquill, we're good, right? And Silverquill goes, yeah, you're fine.
Well, all right.
That's the entirety of that conversation.
Anyway, my stuff on the episode, it's a nostalgia trip. It was fun to watch. I do have more of a problem with the rest of the main 6 and less Pinkie Pie, because she's just acting as she always acts, crazy and kooky. And let's face it, she's getting away with something that none of us could get away with. She gets to dress up and go trick-or-treating as an adult. If we went around dressed as a giant chicken with the children, people would be saying, have you got a white van round the corner? Are you trying to take these kids into the white van? So she's acting normal. The ones that I'm more annoyed at are Fluttershy and Applejack, that literally used an element on Luna, saw her change back, and they're like, oh no, it's still Nightmare Moon that's going to kill us all.
To be fair, though, Applejack got over hers pretty quick.
She got over them, but like, why did she have them in the first place when she was there in the room when she changed, and Celestia come in and it's like, this is my sister. She is fine.
Psychologically, though, you can't just get over like a well-established neural pathway that quickly. So if you're told to be terrified of something for your entire life, you can't just override that in that fast an amount of time just on one experience. You need. I also would like to rewrite those terms.
I also like to add that it doesn't help when it comes to Luna's change in appearance, because you have to admit that the design that Luna had in that episode compared to the pilot episode was very similar to Nightmare Night.
I get that, but like, again, at the end of the episode, which we can assume takes place the next day or even the day after, there's a big celebration in town. Everybody's cheering for Luna. They have clearly fully interacted with her for at least a day. She gets the little flower wreath around her neck. So even if there is an appearance change, like, why would that entire day of bonding with her, with the big celebration in town, immediately erase everything and be like, nope, she is back to being the demon horse?
Do you really think that they would get over everything overnight?
Well, it's not like they knew her the whole life. Like, they literally knew Nightmare Moon for a single night until Twilight came along. They didn't even know who Nightmare Moon was, and to them it was like, well, yeah, we used rainbows and we all beat the bad guy, and now she's a good guy.
Well, let me counter it with this, is that there's a mythology, a legend, and a folklore about Nightmare Moon. It's not just as simple as, oh, well, she only physically appeared once. It's more like, you can't just erase 1,000 years of folklore that has been trained in you since childhood, or maybe even since you were an infant. To give you an idea, there's a little joke I pull with some people where I was interacting with someone and I made a joke about summoning demons in the woods. You know, I like that witchcraft stuff. And this person who seems normally really composed, or like they wouldn't be into that sort of thing, immediately got terrified of the idea of it. But like, I'm not saying he did or didn't believe in it, but just the idea of like going out and doing that does evoke an essence of something like an essence of terror, even if you don't believe in it. You still get unnerved in the middle of the woods at night, especially in New England. So it's like, you can't just overwrite that within a single night.
Something else I would like to add, in regards to Fluttershy, she hates Nightmare Night.
She was adorable.
Yeah, I know, she was hilarious.
Ladies got screaming pipes.
Well, yeah, that's about all I've got. It was a nice nostalgic trip, and aside from the main six being beaten with the stupid stick a little bit, everything else was just kind of fun to watch.
Okay, you're about out of time, Spyro. Any final thought, or move on to Golden?
No, Golden can go.
Alright. So, it seems nostalgia is a term that plays up a lot in this podcast, but compared to everyone else in this room, no mean to be egotistic here, I have the most nostalgia being one of the OC Bronies from 2011. Remember when the fandom was young, when the episode was announced for Equestria Daily, a lot of people were very excited at that time because we finally got to see Luna. And of course, upon its release, it spawned out many Luna memes and quotes that lived on for years, like the fun has been doubled, or I can't think of anything else at the top of my head on that. But looking at it in hindsight, I know that many will say that it has an aging problem, but like with Hurricane Fluttershy, it's definitely one of my favorite episodes. It's hilarious, fun. I love the Halloween-esque atmosphere, as Master Code pointed out. Luna had such a hysterical, quirky, and socially awkward personality that fits within the theme of confronting your social adversaries, and it has a wonderful message about passing your social knowledge to others who have yet to learn, according to Twilight Sparkle. I will also have to admit that Pinkie Pie needed a bit of tweaking, since she was a leading cause of Luna's frustration factor. I get that it's a plot convenience to challenge Luna, but even then, I didn't even take it as much of an issue with her, as I also found her hilarious by laying an egg and playing as a chicken. An additional trivia that I would like to add is that it was said that Lauren Faust tended to write more of Luna during episodes of Season 1, but the attitude from Hasbro stated that because she was a villain and represented darkness of the night, she was considered too scary for kids. So, if you ask me, it was very, very stupid. But unfortunately, Lauren couldn't do much about that.
Wait. So I want to get this straight real quick, just for clarity's sake. They said Luna was too scary, but when Lauren Faust put the Manticore in, they insisted she use the D&D version because it was scarier.
I know, it does sound counterintuitive, but Hasbro's attitude was so moronic about Luna at that time, so I can't really say much else about that. I pretty much, that being said, I think I've covered just about everything, what could be in need of improvement and what I enjoyed about this episode. Fiaura, I believe you're the last one that I pass it on to.
That would be the last one you have to pass it on to. So, the things about this episode for me, one, I actually have not... I didn't actually enjoy this Halloween episode. I enjoyed the later one with Fluttershy deciding to be scary.
Scaremaster.
Yes. But this felt, what's the term I'm looking for here? Too forced, because it seems like everyone but Twilight had to get hit with the stupid stick as far as who Luna was and what Luna represented now in order for this episode to function. I like the slapstick in it, because the slapstick in the first 4 seasons is great. Everything from in the Apple Family Reunion episode, Spike being used as a literal
Lighter,
whereas here we have Fluttershy being used as the effective if the Three Stooges could have cartoon bones. I just don't understand what was going on with the thought that everyone would just follow around with Pinkie Pie, when Pinkie Pie is known to be as big a prankster and as big a I'm just here to get a laugh as Rainbow Dash. It seems for me, from a scientific standpoint, from a cultural analysis standpoint, because that's how I look at these things, it seems culturally backwards to have someone be particularly someone who is like a ruler or a chief or someone who's in charge, be redeemed, and then everyone still looks at them with fear and trepidation. Furthermore, the scary thing from a scientific standpoint is also the fact that apparently alicorns can take inanimate objects and make them real, i.e. the spider trick, because no one else does that.
Didn't Twilight turn an orange into a frog or something?
Yeah,
I'm just casually create life, BRB.
Yeah, she did that after she got wings and was just experimenting around, but no, it wasn't. It was before. It was the same episode where we had Celestia literally like do the whole swooping out of the sky, slamming into the tree thing. But here it just seems like that's horrifying to me as a scientist. You just casually created life.
I mean, if you're a scientist, science me how Pinkie laid an egg.
I'll have you know, I expect a detailed report of this fictional pony show.
I fully expect
most importantly, who is the egg
Pie,
from?
The fact that Pinkie Pie has the ability to hide objects such as balls in places that they normally should not fit and pull them in and out of some places without any issue. She pulled a basketball.
What are you implying?
So, taking that into account, I fully anticipate that she could somehow hide an egg in that skin tight costume. Because yes, we get to see Pinkie Pie's rear in the early part of the episode. I even made a comment on it. Wow, where did you get the orange-yellow spandex for a pony?
And I responded with, really? You're talking about the pony who gets all kinds of crafts, a party cannon, and lays an egg, and this is your line in the sand.
My scientific theory is she got it from the 80s, clearly. But also, if you look at the egg, it's not like, and this isn't in persecution of Fiora's thing. This is just a note. It's clearly an Easter egg, and that does seem like a prank. Like, not even just a prank thing. That just seems like a funny joke thing that some would do at a party. Oh look, Look, everyone, I'm dressed as a chicken. Oh, got eggs. Let's go egg that guy's car. Happy Halloween.
Yeah, I expect that because she has an egg costume, she came prepared.
It's an Easter egg.
Also, one extra on the slapstick that nobody's brought up, which I just remembered. Granny Smith is being forced to walk the kids round at like 10 o'clock at night.
I should have been in bed 4 hours ago. Also, I should point out, it's not 10 o'clock. Halloween in the States is 6 to 8, I think.
Yep,
Trick-or-treating
6
6 to 8.
I do like that Pinkie Pie does get to do the thing as adults. I agree with the person who mentioned this earlier, that Pinkie Pie gets to do the thing that we as adults wish we could do, which is dress up in costumes and go trick-or-treating. Like, it would be a great excuse if I wasn't at Cider Fest the last 3 years to just dress up in my Fallout costume and just walk around and be like, I'm storing candy for the end of the world.
And her big award.
But something I've always done for nostalgia is, back when I was living in New Hampshire, I'd still carve like a small sugar pumpkin because they're medium-sized, and I would literally walk around carrying a lantern. Sometimes I would wear a cloak, but I wouldn't be doing trick-or-treating. I was just taking a walk for nostalgia with my spooky pumpkin lantern.
I got the special deal. I got a lot of siblings younger than me, so it's basically I go out with them trick-or-treating, so I still have that luxury, at least for a few more years.
So you're like Granny Smith?
Kinda.
I trick-or-treat at my friend's house, so I just walk up and they hand me pumpkin ale, and we sit down and just eat candy while people come up. It's nice.
That's your next costume show, Joe. This Halloween, you got to get like a red and white gingham dress and say I'm the old granny that's taking the kids round.
The way I would probably fix that is have the children still be afraid of Luna, and have the adults trying to chip in and get them to come around, because the children grew up with the nightmare and the horror stories and the tale that Sakura tells. The tale that Sakura tells. I can words good, I promise. And use the adults as kind of the no, it's not like that anymore, and then have to go through. It would have been more interesting to me to have to go through Pinkie Pie and all of the kids one at a time to like really flesh those kids out a little bit instead of just getting a couple blurbs from Little Pip.
Then again, you only have like 20 minutes, so...
That's true, but this could have been like a real Twilight Cutie Mark Crusaders episode.
Or it could have been a 1 hour Halloween special, because they always do that.
Brings up an interesting point. Like a really if you were to like rewrite the episode, a really interesting point would be, like, okay, the kids are afraid, but Luna's clued in, the adults know. Then they have to do this weird thing where we have to get the kids friendly with Luna, but they also still want to keep the spirit of the holiday, because, you know, all the little foals, and especially Pipsqueak, they still like the horror element, even if they're genuinely terrified of Luna. So it'd be an interesting sort of, I don't know, that would be an interesting dynamic. Like, keep the have fun with fear policy, but get everyone but just have everyone on the same page about it. That would have been cool.
And yeah, I also think that the have fun with fear policy is a great idea, because it is honestly a very good thing to understand a full spectrum of emotions, and fear is an emotion that you need to have in order to be able to still function as a person. So keeping the kids in that spirit of the holiday, it's useful long term for them, and it shows that being afraid isn't necessarily a bad thing. It's what you do with the fear that matters, and in this case, what they did with the fear was repeatedly hurt Luna's feelings.
Ooh! Did I scare you guys?
I do think I do at least like that it ended well. Like, regardless of how believable one finds the ending, I do like that it at least somehow ended up well. What is it? But I definitely agree with you 100% on the fear thing. Because I like looking into like some, you might say, alternate methods of healing, and not advocating them, but like I read an interview with like some ayahuasca shamans, and they mentioned how it's like, oh yeah, no, the people who take this, they're horrified in the moment, but then like when they're done with the ayahuasca, they're like heavily improved. And the entire point was that you have to experience that full spectrum, and one of the things it kind of does too is it can have you experience things that you've repressed. So, but that can be a horrifying prospect. It's just you get it out in a 6-hour shaman trip as opposed to some other means. But it's definitely therapeutic for that.
I mean, I guess it's kind of like watching horror movies. Like some people just really just watch them because they like to get scared.
I mean, I listen to creepypastas because it actually helps me deal with the paranoia aspect that comes with having PTSD. That's just one example. Now, in the meantime, guys, is there any specific theme, reference, or something you want to talk about in depth with this episode? Now's your chance. I see Shoujo and Golden in that order, so we'll start with Shoujo.
It's short, it's sweet, and I think Master Code knows where I'm going with this, but I wonder, I don't know when this episode happened, but I'd like to point out that in the episode with Pinkie Pie, ooh, piece of candy, ooh, piece of candy, ooh, piece of candy, for any of you Family Guy fans out there.
All 6 of them.
Oh! Not really a new in England. Everybody in England hates that show. It's just like American trash.
Anyway.
We also did it on TF2. Anyway.
I wanted to point out that it's nice that we get to see Sakura return after bridal gossip.
Yeah, that was nice.
I kind of want an actual Sakura episode. I want to know why there's only one zebra and why she seems to be the special one who everybody knows about, but there has to be like more.
That's something that even I wanted, and it seems like the writers are never going to tackle on Sakura's character.
Season 9 is the ending.
Well, they still got one more season. And very...
I think I know why.
Not only do they have one more season, but Hasbro has been, how should I describe this, heavily encouraging Sakura's voice actress to go to pony conventions recently. She's shown up to 2 of them, and now she's showing up to another one right as the season begins. I think they're trying to give us a hint.
That the movie would be about her.
My only guess why they've never tackled it is because when you make all these fantasy lands, you can spin a yarn to like, oh no, it's not this place. It's definitely not. No matter what you imply, it's not. Whereas zebras are Africa. And if you go to the pony version of Africa, it's going to be nothing but black people. And if they all speak like Sakura, or if they have the wrong kind of diction, then that's going to look racist, and that's going to get a lot of people frazzled.
Well, I should point out something, is that first off, if we look on a map, I don't think it's ever mentioned where Sakura actually comes from, like no name is given. So we don't even know how far, like, if wherever her homeland is, for all we know, it could be like 2,000 miles over there or somewhere, and so you're probably not going to see. So if they have a cultural center, that you're probably not going to see much of them. Like again, 2,000, 3,000, maybe even 7,000 miles from where most of them tend to live. Also, Sakura has the visual cues and aspects of, like, say, a shaman, and in a lot of cultures, like even if you rewind time back in like British culture or French culture, a lot of shamanic practitioners were also bards. They usually spoke in poetry.
Oh, I understand that, but like the way that they've set her up, she is kind of the token black one, and it's like, yeah, that's great, and she works as a single element, and nobody has a problem with her, but if you have to delve into potentially black culture, some people might get antsy. I mean, I don't mind, but you know there'd be that one guy that'd be like, did you hear how them zebra people spoke?
Yep, let all the social justice warriors come throwing themselves in.
It's gonna be.
I mean, like, one person can be upset all they want, but if a million people enjoy it, it seems worth.
It's okay. Wait. I'm gonna just.
Everybody, hold on. Golden, did you finish your point before we get too far into this discussion?
I did finish my point.
Okay, go ahead, Midnight.
I was gonna say to like go over your point. Oh yeah, it's just one guy. Don't worry. just recently in Smash Ultimate, they got rid of a freaking feather, like a little black tiny feather, because it alluded to freaking what is it, the
Indians.
the early American culture.
You there, boy?
You there, Moon Knight?
He might
Yeah,
not
but-
be, but I know what he was saying. Basically, in Smash Brothers Ultimate, Mr. Game & Watch had a feather on one of his animations, and one person started to say that they felt offended because they were a Native American.
Can you hear
And
me?
it just spread like wildfire, and Nintendo removed it. Like, one person can be the one that lights the fire.
It'll be
Go ahead.
It'll be especially embarrassing considering they just finished a whole season about political correctness with the whole School of Friendship thing.
Yay, friendship.
If I may, I have something to reference here. So, we've been going over stuff for BabsCon, and I had several people suggesting a bunch of things because they thought that something we were doing might be insensitive or offensive because of recent political events, and I looked at them and I said, there is literally nothing I could possibly do that somebody would not take offense to. And I proceeded to just let the people in the call name off a bunch of stuff and explain how someone could be offended to it and who and what group would be offended by it, and they all looked at each other eventually and went, so what I'm saying is if we don't stick to the artistic vision that we started 9 months ago, we're going to end up in trying to please everyone land, and we'll end up pleasing no one, i.e. movies made by committee as opposed to movies made by creative artists. So
Look,
I kind of feel like if it doesn't matter how they do it, it doesn't matter what they would do with it. There are episodes that people consider offensive to this person or this person or that person. If they wanted to do a zebra episode, they should just do it. It doesn't matter how they do it; they're going to offend people.
the thing is that can anyone hear me? By the way.
Yeah, you got
Yep.
now.
Okay, look, the thing is, yeah, you can just do it because you're a not a small artist, but you're like your own sort of boss. Thing is, with big companies, yeah, they don't really like to mess up with political shenanigans. Case in point with Nintendo. So yeah, you can say, oh yeah, they can just ignore it. They can just go on with their vision. But Hasbro being Hasbro, I mean, they've been teasing for what is it, same-sex couples in Equestria Girls and other episodes and stuff, but they haven't explicitly said the word because they know they're going to get into some trouble because the show's basically for kids and all this political stuff. So I think they're just avoiding it because they're this big company that would get kind of hit or something.
I'm going to counter that with it's a bit of a controversial phrase, but it will sum up my point rather quick. Get woke, go broke.
That phrase applies I hear people slinging that phrase left and sideways, and I go, no. There's this is an occasion where you're right. If they tried to please everyone, the episode's going to be terrible. But for instance,
no, then speaking in context, you're what I was saying. If there was a really small group of people, like one or two people, it's kind of okay, you please that one person and say that one person buys the Netflix subscription or buys it on iTunes or however they see it. You may have lost a large chunk of the million you could have pleased if you just ignored them. So you may have gained, $3 on iTunes? I don't know, let's say it's $3, but maybe you lost 300. It's only I'm scaling to this particular situation.
And that's entirely fair. This is a situation in which it is literally, and this is my opinion, that something that Hasbro hasn't done really in a long time is just take their hands off of the property and just let the artists work and do their thing. We see it in some episodes where they did that, like episode 100, but I feel like Hasbro has had a little too much hand here and there in trying to craft up and trying to edit episodes rather than just simply letting the episode shine for what it is.
Like the Mean Six with the melting faces.
I don't even know how that made it past unless Hasbro was just like, no, whatever.
That was amazing.
I think it's more the Derpy episode where they clipped Rainbow Dash's voice to not say the word Derpy, and then
that's a whole
They
other
just-
debate entirely. I think.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah,
there's a lot of
back
nuance
to
to that
Sexy
one.
Moon Horse. Back to Moonbot.
And I do remember though that does anyone just the thing. Does anyone remember Bionicle?
I do.
Yes.
Okay,
I'm
yeah.
still here.
Okay, do you guys know the name Greg Farshday?
I think.
Okay, well, for those of you who
Reminder,
don't know, and yeah, for those of you who don't know, and for those in the chat, Farshday was the writer of Gen 1 Bionicle. So that was its original run from like 2001 to 2010. And he did mention, and this appears to be just a thing with like material or stories based on toys, is Farshday mentioned that he would have times where Lego would make an executive decision with the story, and he wasn't allowed to do anything about it. Like the most infamous case of this was it was 2005, and it was this character named Vakama, and he betrays the rest of his team. And apparently Farshday said in an interview, like, sometime after Gen 1 Bionicle ended, he was actually extremely angry about that because he thought it was horribly out of character, but apparently Lego insisted upon it for really stupid marketing reasons.
You're referencing
yeah,
the third
I
movie,
remember
right? Web of
that.
Shadows or whatnot?
Yeah, it was during that arc, but even Greg said that that wasn't his call, and he was actually really angry at Lego for that, because the person who told him to do that wasn't even a story writer, it was a sales associate.
And
Just like
Bakama's
EA.
way better than that.
All right.
So I'm just saying it seems to be common among toy things.
Moving past this point for a second, do you guys have any other specific things you want to bring up about this episode? I see Master Code and then Jasper.
Mexico can go first. Mine is kind of a joke thing.
Okay.
All right. First off, this will be quick. This is a bit of trivia for those who didn't know. I think a lot of people know, but anyway, they cut for a time. There was a scene where Luna actually interacted with Rarity, but they realized that their voices were, because it's the same voice actor, the voices were too similar, so they actually cut that scene out. So for anyone who's curious, there's the lead scene. Anyway, the reason I want to go back to why I enjoyed this episode so much was because I completely relate to Luna. When I was a kid, it was the phrase, "What is this fun thou speakest of?" Because when I was a kid, I was the super shy, like totally inverse kid. I was just totally awkward around people, and I was like, I kept to myself, and it was like I would try to avoid like fun whenever possible. I was just like so afraid of interacting with other people when I was just a little kid, and seeing that, I'm like, I'm watching Luna, I'm like, oh my god, this is me. This is totally me. So that was one of the main reasons why I really like this episode. And then just another point I want to bring up. I forget the exact wording. Maybe I'm misheard it, but I think Sakura was named like the kind of like the guide, the spiritual guy, not spiritual guy, but guide for the whole lore of Nightmare Night. And we see her in the beginning, and then not until the end. It's like, what was she doing in between? I mean, I know it's 22 minutes. You can't really focus on anyone, but I'm just asking realistically, why wasn't she hanging out with the children, or why wasn't she in more scenes? So anyway, that's it for me.
She was interacting with the spirits, aka getting high.
Alright, this is more of a joking thing, but I have a challenge for the Fiaura.
I temper my sense of what the heck and say go ahead.
I challenge you to write a short story about the life of the egg Pinky laid.
Oh my god, are you serious?
Yes.
You know what? I can say no to that. Because what was the prompt? I wrote it down and I don't want to look it up because I'm being lazy. What was the prompt I'm supposed to be writing about from last week?
What was last week's episode? It was
I think last week it was
50 Shades of a Changeling.
Oh, yes.
The what's actually going on in Thorax's basement, because let's be honest, Why does he not? Why does he not need to suck love out of other things? And the other change.
He has a bag.
So I already have that prompt to work on tonight. To
Yeah, of
my
course, since
editors a
Aeon's
break
here, we had to talk
from
about
Fallout
the
Equestria. I'm not writing a story about the life of the egg that Pinky farted out in reaction to Luna.
What is the point of my
Unless, of
life?
course,
Am I just
you
a
want me
prank?
to say that Luna made the egg sentient like she did the spiders, and then it's a walking, talking egg who's trying to find the meaning of existence for a walking, talking egg that was unfertilized at birth.
Yeah, Togepi comes out.
Not even Togepi. It would never hatch. That would be part of the point.
Would it be a toga pie?
I
To the
want
gallows
to
with
boo
you.
them for that, but no.
To
that
the
was
gallows
actually
with
good.
this heresy.
Okay, Ford. No challenge.
I was going to say, if we're talking about, what is it, Thorax not needing to eat love or something, my joke reply to that would be, man, the Crystal Heart is one hell of a drug.
No, they have me writing a non-sexual version of 50 Shades of a Changeling.
Yeah, no, just Breaking Bad, Thorax looks and it's like, this is not Crystal Heart. Boom!
It was more his brother, because all the changelings had changed.
Yeah, his brother,
except for
excuse me,
brother.
Phalanx.
Pharynx.
His
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
Phalanx.
I see what you're getting.
Because he had the bag with him and everything to capture Starlight and Trixie, and I'm just like, why does he have the bag? Wait, if the rest of them don't need to feed on love, but you're still operating under the old changeling rules because you haven't changed yet, who are you drinking?
I love the way you worded that. Who are you drinking?
You know what the best part about
Hey. That's
you know what the best part about this whole
obvious.
podcast is? The best part about this whole podcast is ever since we never for the most part we stay away from NSFW talking about hot topics, but ever since Anna was here, we've mentioned bondage, we've mentioned spandex, we've mentioned like 3 or 4 other unquestionable things. It's
Or
it's ever since he came in here, he's infected us all.
I thought it was
gonna
hard to be worse because Aeon's here.
I'm gonna go for another one as well. I'm going to go for another one as well. Fiaura actually worded that correctly because changelings suck love, and it might have sounded awkward if she said, "And who are you sucking?"
Oh my god!
Alright, so, do we have any other particular things we want to bring up about Luna Eclipsed, or do we want to move to Q&A?
Other than Luna has a great ass now.
You could say she has a great moon.
Also, if I say,
I bet
oh,
you're
well,
wrong.
come at me with torches and pitchforks,
Okay.
but when he says it, everything's
So,
going to be okay.
hold on. No, I can make this so much worse. So, this podcast already made me do this. When I was first putting it together, someone mentioned this. What if Luna woke up and her butt was as big as Celestia's?
That is what we
I
call
wrote
a
a story
good time
for that.
about to happen.
I
Oh
wrote a
my.
1-chapter, 6,500 word story for that on FemFiction, and it was featured for 4 days straight.
Send it to Peter. He wants to read it.
Yeah, I was about to say, it's like, if you wouldn't mind dropping me a link when you got a free moment, I will check that out.
for the lonely times.
But he wants to read it for educational purposes.
It is 100% rated T for teen. It says it is 100% no sex. It is taking the subject very seriously of waking up and suddenly you go from kind of a butt to, oh my god, badonka like my sister.
basically after eating a ton of junk food.
I mean, it depends on where your fat goes, because like I know of people where it goes to enviable places, if you know what I mean. Other people not so much.
I even got Ravage from the Barcast and Lost in the Trees from BabsCon to do artwork for it. So the cover art is by Ravage and the in-text art is by Trees.
Oh my.
Brilliant.
So yeah. If you want to bring up Luna's butt, you guys already made me write a story about Luna's butt before when we were first forming this.
Well, we did see Luna's butt in this episode when she was on the bridge.
Oh,
Technically,
true.
in any episode, you can see every pony's butt, even
That's
the
actually-
boy butts.
No,
Everybody gets a butt.
No, the thing is, Jasper, not only do we see them all the times, but sometimes the actual artists like draw them in just the perfect like kind of angles.
So, in the meantime, we
Y'all
have,
need Jesus.
we have 4 questions today. We didn't get many. People weren't posting a lot of questions in the chat. They're talking in the chat. They're just not posting a lot of questions. The first one is from Magical Starflash. If you were to celebrate Halloween, what has been your favorite costume you've ever worn?
Ooh, I love this one. One year I dressed up as a serial killer by covering myself up with cereal boxes with little plastic knives sticking in them.
Go ahead.
I have to say one of my favorite costumes was me putting together a crudely made Starswell the Bearded costume. I don't know where the beard went anymore. I think I gave it to my sister because it was just a wig that I taped onto my face using some pipe cleaners and some other stuff. But I really enjoyed dressing up as Starswell.
So you were actually like Applejack's example. You were a country singer.
Sure.
Were you singing "Take Me Home, Country Roads"?
So, when the Power Rangers movie came out, this shows how old I am. My grandmother was the last time she made a costume from scratch. I have to specify this. My white grandmother made my little brother and me Power Rangers costumes of whichever Ranger we wanted to be. So I had the Blue Ranger and my little brother had the Red Ranger, and within a month neither of them fit anymore because we were both under the age of 10 at the time.
Oh god! So you were in the middle of a growth spurt.
Yes, she literally had to field stitch the costumes onto us because she had made them from measurements from 2 months ago, and both of us had grown about an inch.
Oh god!
I'm actually really happy we get to talk about this because Halloween is my favorite holiday of the year, and I go hardcore when it comes to costumes. I'm gonna post you guys a picture. In podcast discussion, I'm going to post a picture of my costume for this.
Oh, you had the same idea.
If I had the chance, I would want to go as either the Red Dino Charge Power Ranger or Beast Morpher Red Power Ranger, because, yeah, I'm a big Power Rangers nut, and I just watched the first episode of Beast Morphers.
Don't spoil it. I still haven't seen it. I'm waiting for online links.
That is a good version of Cobra Commander. Thanks, Burn Critic.
Yeah, I went as Cobra Commander this year. I spent all year buying the materials and making the costume. I made a custom helmet. The year before that, I was Freddy Krueger, and the year before that, I think it was Indiana Jones. This year, I've already got my plans out, and it's going to be a little simpler, but I try to keep it hidden because I do a special month-long guessing game with the people on my Twitter page for what my costume is going to be for the year.
All right.
You know what? I'll throw mine in there just for like we move.
For me, mine was while he's posting his. For me, ever since I was a kid, like every single year, I did trick or treating. My costume was a neon green ghost costume, and I loved it every single year. That's all I did every single year.
Anybody else with a favorite costume for the next question?
Yeah, sure. I had an Air Force. I had an Air Force shirt from my uncle who was in the Air Force. So there were a few years I went as someone from the Air Force. It still had all those patches on and everything. It was cool.
Okay, this is a question directly addressed to Aeon of Dreams from Drinking Buddy. Have you ever considered or have you done voice work for romance audiobooks?
I have not. I've been told by people to do audiobooks or readings, and I have thought about it, but no, I have not.
I might actually pay you for that.
Do it. Have
Your
him read
voice is-
that. Have him read that Luna film.
Yeah, no, I do really like my voice. I haven't done much acting, so I would be kind of a novice on that front, but I wouldn't be opposed to giving it a shot. I suppose that's my answer to that.
Wait, let's hear it. So for 30 seconds, Aeon, talk about Luna's butt.
I'm not good at coming up with things on the fly.
You don't have to if you don't want to.
Yeah, no, it'd take up time.
Choke Fee Bunny, and I just got your name. No, please don't choke me. I need my voice. I need my throat. I have to record lines this week. Jasper, since when do you take things seriously?
Well, believe it or not, I'm kind of a shy, sensitive soul behind the screaming.
That's entirely fair. All right.
Shut everything up, whoever snickered! I'm having a sensitive moment, and now you're making me come off as a jerk!
Let's let Jasper have his moment, and the next question is posed to all of us. If you were in Equestria as your OC, what costume would you wear, and would you go trick-or-treating?
Well, considering you clearly can, yes, I would go trick-or-treating.
Yes.
I'd probably go as... I mean, I could just use my... If we're gonna go like this, I may as well just go full cringe now. I'll use my OC's alternate form and just claim it's a costume. Maybe put the hat on.
A King Sombra costume and go trick-or-treating.
Well, since my OC's from Fallout Equestria, I would just put on normal everyday business clothes and have them brightened and shapened up to look like they were pre-war and go as a ghoul.
I would go as a pony, as my OC.
No, wait, actually, take your, suit, Master Code, just take your suit off and see if that counts. Maybe
Everyone,
like
look at
Clark
me.
Kent.
I'm naked.
Yeah, just like Clark Kent your way around Halloween.
There we go.
So take his suit off and put on glasses.
Perry the platypus. Oh, it's just
Let's
another
go, Fiaura.
platypus.
Oh yeah, no, he works for the press. He's a pressman. Can't you see? He works for the New York Times. Just like Clark Kent.
Everyone is quite impressed.
Mine is kind of easy because everybody always associates my body structure with her, so there was an alternate version of last week's picture, and this is what I would go as for Halloween.
Uh-oh.
It's very simple, really.
Ah, that's tame.
All right. Anybody
And
else
for
want to
me-
weigh in on this before we move to the next one?
As
Considering that I have a bit of a vampire side sort of thing, I guess I would go as a vampire if I was a pony on Nightmare Night. And I don't know if I would trick or treat or not.
I don't know what
As
I
for
would
me,
do, but if we're... Oh, sorry, Jasper, you can go.
As for me, I would probably go as the Green Ranger, and instead of trick-or-treating, I would cheese-or-treating! I would go across various cheese stops trick-or-treating for cheeses! And then I would eat the cheeses!
Going
So you
off
would
of
be
what
cheesing
Jasper said,
the
I
Halloween?
would possibly go as the red Dino Charge Ranger or the red Beast Morpher Ranger. And just go trick-or-treating like that.
The next question is from Mario Frockport. Would all of you be interested in together doing a Rocky Horror Picture Show except for Brony/Pony Edition?
Remind
I
me
don't
again
know
what
what
that
that
is.
is.
It intrigues me.
I'd be shivering with anticipation.
I mean, that sounds like a great idea. That sounds like something we need to ponyfy. Rocky Horror Picture Show. I'm in.
I think
I'll
that's been done somewhere.
Only thing is,
Where?
who would play Tim Curry?
You could
Poe?
probably search it.
Well, you, Jasper, obviously.
Smashing.
No, it actually it's only been done in. I'm searching it now. Apparently, it's only been done in PMV form with clips from the show, as opposed to outright doing it from scratch.
So is this a movie?
Yes.
Oh.
Also, Master Code, you didn't get it quite right. If you're going to do the smashing, you have to do Nigel Thornberry in the British voice where it's like, Simply smashing, Elijah.
Sweet toxic love.
Slime beneath me.
So now I
I'm
feel
just
like
a sweet transvestite.
so now I feel like I have to assemble now I feel like I have to assemble the rest of the month getting together that song parody and then spend the next 3 months trying to set up a pony horror picture show. Thanks, chat. Thanks. Stop inspiring me to do things, because that's why I don't sleep at night.
Not gonna
This is
sleep.
why
No.
you never open a Q&A session.
All
No,
right.
you don't sleep at night because of the fan art.
So Steam
Oh,
Works
yeah, that's
Anonymous
still
wants
to
to
come.
know who is best and worst villain.
Ooh, me first. Dang, please.
Okay, since you screamed about it, you can have it for now.
Thank you. Okay. Worst villain. Does Sombra count, or is that not a villain?
Spoilers.
Yeah, I know. Suppose. Worst villain. It's gonna go to the freaking adorable thingy. What's her name again? Cozy Glow.
Cozy Glow.
Cozy Glow.
Yeah, I forgot about that. Cozy Glow, because first, she was gonna take the magic off of Equestria. How is she going to fly? Second, how is she going to free Tyrek? So that was kind of a stupid plan, honestly. So, best villain, Chrysalis, because she's actually stuck to her points and she hasn't been reformed, and she's actually been villainous, and she almost kills Starlight. And she almost kills Thorax too, so yay!
Question, do Equestria Heroes villains count?
Sure.
In that case, best villain would have to be the Dazzlings, worst villain, Cozy Glow.
If we're having a discussion on who's best villain, I would have to say, excluding Equestria Girls, it would have to be Tyrek, because he and Twilight did the most damage in the fight that they had, and it was kind of just so awesome to me. But if we're including Equestria Girls, Dazzlings.
In my opinion, the worst villain would probably have to, unfortunately, be Sombra, because he just simply doesn't have the development of any of the others. Now, that might change given things. However, if I had to say my favorite villains, would have to be the alternate timeline villains, or Tyrek if we don't include them. Because in the alternate timelines, the villains actually win.
Shoujo and Brony are gonna hate me. Worst villain is Tyrek. He just didn't have a clue what he was doing with his plan. But if you want the best villain, it's Flurry Heart. Because I tell you, the way that they made that trailer... Hold on. The way they made that trailer, it's looking like Sombra's going to kidnap her, and he's going to be like, I'm bonding with this child, and this child has shown me the way to true friendship. Flurry Heart is the mastermind that is going to reform Sombra.
Is it a Ransom of Red Chief situation?
Okay, hold on. Before we go too far into spoilerly theory, what the heck territory, Aeon, best villain, worst villain?
Okay, worst villain. I'd almost have to say, like, I like some ideas behind the Pony of Shadows, but he's like extremely forgettable. And if you're a villain, it's like, regardless of whether or not I do or don't agree, even if you have an interesting idea, I at least shouldn't be forgetting about you. Favorite one is actually...
Actually what?
Yeah, Starlight Glimmer.
Okay.
Because she was more ideological, and I thought that was interesting rather than just being, I'm really strong, and I'm going to punch you all in the face before they're stopped by friendship. Starlight's like, I have an ideology that makes me think a particular way.
Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and put up my tomato and booing screens now. Worst villain, Sunset Shimmer.
I can agree.
I kind of prefer as a hero more.
Yeah.
Look, at least she had a plan and something kind to go around.
Her plan was just to be petty and malicious, and it was like, are you serious right now?
Look.
This is not gonna work.
Okay. Okay. It's not gonna work. I know what you're gonna say because they're all teens. I know what you're gonna say. But if they cross the portal, they're actually unicorns, Pegasus, and other ponies. So tech
with no motor skill. With no motor skills.
And not to mention, there was just this point where it was quite clear that everyone was in Camp Twilight. You're the only holdout. You've obviously lost. Why don't you see what's working? No, I'm just going to be more petty and more vicious and hope that works.
Also, Discord.
On the plus side, she developed into a much better hero.
Yeah. Though if I had to say worst villain, I'm sorry, I'm taking this out of context. I thought we were just saying best. But if I had to say worst villain, Pony's Shadows, because even though I like him, and even though that was one of my favorite episodes of Season 7, he's really underutilized and didn't go into much depth. Sure, they went and talked about him in the comics, and he did a few things in the comics, but not that much.
I actually forgot about him. Can I change my answer?
Now, if I had to say worst villain, I hate to say this, I'm gonna go with Chrissy.
Shots fired.
Like those are my like the rest of the villains. I don't necessarily have a best villain because the rest of the villains actually stand up to a lot of the scrutiny I would give them. But Chrissy has this one amazing problem. She has an ego bigger than her changeling hive, and she just assumes she's invulnerable. Even after the first time we introduce her, there's this brief moment of she beats Celestia and she goes, I didn't think I could do that. And then she gets her butt trounced.
Right.
And then she gets her butt trounced again and again. And yet we still get to the mean six and she has this attitude of invincibility. This plan is going to work. And I'm like, you've literally lost everything. You've had your butt absolutely kicked. You are either stupid or you have an ego so big that you could die on your hill and it still wouldn't teach you that you're doing it wrong.
I'm going to counteract those points, though. Like, she got so strong that she could beat Celestia, and the only reason that she lost that Season 2 finale was literally ass-pull magic because the writers have wrote themselves into a corner. These creatures feed on love. Love makes them stronger. She got killed by love. If love is the thing that makes them stronger, that love blast would have turned her like Super Saiyan.
Well, no, if you eat food, there are foods that you can eat where it's like if you eat them at the amount of a normal serving, they're not lethal to you, but there are most certainly foods that you can eat that kill you. So, like, to give you an idea, that's a bit like saying, oh, I drink water, therefore this tidal wave surely won't kill me.
Kind of, but it's more magical ether. The second one, she was winning. Again, that throne, she won. She had imprisoned everybody and was beating the hell out of Starlight. And then, again, the writers were like, oh, we need to make her lose. Magical ass pull. Changelings can't only take love, but they can also give love. And they can turn into Skittles, and everybody turning into Skittles simultaneously.
Yes, but the point is that she doesn't account for any possibility outside of her own narrow point of view. And the other villains have gone out of their way to plan, how do I get to the point I can beat the princesses? What do I have in my arsenal? Even the Storm King pulled out the balls of turn you into statues, which was something that nobody had accounted for.
If you actually take that into account of her being a bad villain, she actually planned like taking over all of the big like kind of threats on Ponyville, on Canterlot, on everyone. Like she actually got a really good plan. But I think like Spyro said, it's just like, oh, how do we kill her? It's just like White Diamond. How do we kill her? Let's just do this random power.
That wasn't something out of left field because they spent 2 separate episodes before that talking about Thorax, and it's the only singing number Spikes gets in the entire series.
Yeah, they speak about him, but it's like, oh, you have sparkly wings. Oh, suddenly you can become a Skittle. Oh yeah, that's really a good explanation.
I mean, to me though, like, I'm glad she's got an ego. I'm glad that she is going to be a bitch till the end, because all the other villains, Nightmare Moon, Discord, you've got 2 fates. you're either going to get redeemed or you gotta die. The Storm King couldn't be redeemed, so he got shattered. He's dead. Sombra couldn't be redeemed that time, so he got shattered. He's dead. Discord, oh, I'm perfectly good now because I'm besties with Fluttershy. Luna, oh, I'm perfectly good now because I got hit by the magic rainbow blast. Everybody is getting redeemed, and I'm glad she's got her pride and her ego, because that means she's gonna be the biggest egocentric bitch all the way till the end, and I hope she doesn't get redeemed. I want just one bad guy.
One final point here, and I will move to our final question. Spyro, go ahead and upload the artwork because I know it takes a minute. Matt, so the thing that gets me though is smart villains and villains who adapt and still stay evil are the ones who are the most dangerous. Chrysalis hasn't adapted and stayed evil. She stayed the same of I am invincible and my plan is foolproof. She's like the Dr. Evil of villains.
She's like that guy from GoldenEye who claims to be invincible.
He was. Yeah, no, it's if you want a good example of a villain who's like evil but in a charming way, or presented as evil in a charming way, I'm Hamiltrash. Look up the 3 songs where King George appears. Like Lin-Manuel Miranda could have just pulled the Maleficent and then just sort of stuffed the villain and made every character great, but instead, he just took King George and made him sort of like a villain who like loves and like he like loves his villainy and puts on a big show about it, so you can't help but love him for it. That's a good example of that.
Okay. So, last question, and to speed this up and not make us have the biggest, longest drawn out fight of all time. This is the question asked. This is the second question asked by Magical Starfish today. Who is best princess? Just name the princess, no justification.
Luna.
Celestia.
Luna.
Luna.
Wait, what's the question? Sorry, I blanked
Who
out.
is best princess? No context, no justification.
Twilight.
Ember.
She's actually
We saw that.
Okay,
coming
credit
from
to
Dragon
you.
Point
Credit
out
to
there.
you. That's clever. Credit to you. That's clever.
I'll go with Twilight too.
Like, if she's Lord, if you say princess, then I would be on the fence.
Yeah, she's technically a lady.
I kind of have to go with Celestia because I still have it, and I read I can't give justification. I have to go with Celestia.
Okay, high five Fiaura. Team Celestia, Team Sunbutt.
Team Sunbutt. All right. So, is that all of the pictures for this week in Saint Spyro, or is that just the?
No, there's one extra clip to what's going on,
Okay.
and I've
go
got
ahead
something incredibly special.
Go ahead. All right. The moment you've all been staying tuned for to the very end, we have here Jasper's birthday cake. Look at him. He's all happy, and he sounds absolutely thrilled.
I temper my sense of decency and anticipation.
And look at that! Aeon of Dreams pops out in a Play Pony bunny outfit.
Hello, dearie.
Oh, but this gets worse.
Why do you people hate
Aeon has a dartboard, and he brought his own barbecue sauce instead of our special blend.
Why do you people hate me?
Happy birthday,
It's because I
dearie.
break your eardrums, isn't it?
Shh,
And
I'll make you
finally-
scream for real later.
But is this the right order? This Dr. Wolf one next?
Yeah, it's the fourth panel.
Read his text as well.
And
It's the
finally,
aftermath.
we have Jasper going to see Dr. Wolf, making Dr. Wolf a very rich man for Jasper's therapy. And his exact words are, and he used his magical submission barbecue sauce on me to turn me into an obedient demoness for a day, and used his demon tongue in ways that no mortal should see or have to live with. Okay.
And then the tongue is taken
Now,
out.
hold on a second. So, I'm going to show you exactly what that demon tongue can do. However, if your mortal brain and your mortal eyes cannot handle it, don't look. And also, it's kind of a little saucy and risky. So you put this on you show this to the audience at your own behest. It has nothing to do with
I think this
me.
one might be just between us.
You'll have to
I'm
hear
burning my
reaction.
Okay.
That's the kind of
my.
stuff that a demon
Jesus
can do.
Christ!
Just imagine that's what Aeon did to Jasper.
Yeah, I can't put that on Twitch.
You guys are out of your
So
mind.
here's what I'm gonna do. Here's what I'm gonna do. For those of you watching, I do have a Discord server down below. That Discord server does have an adults only section you can apply to have access to. I'm putting it in the adults only section on my Discord server. So if you want to see it, you got to come onto my Discord server and have a look. But I don't think I can put that on Twitch. And,
That's how Jasper's birthday ended.
hold on. I think I have my own reaction to this. Where is it at?
Yeah, just post your reaction to it over the stream. That might be the best way to express how squicky this is, because the audience is curious.
Alright, I'm just gonna turn on my camera for a second. Oh shoot, my camera's engaged. I can't turn on my camera, can I? This is webcam only. Will you turn on or are you engaged? It is engaged. Shoot. What the heck? Or
It
is
flashed
unplugged?
up for a
I
brief
think it's
second.
unplugged.
Oops, I guess you kind of showed it.
I hate everything in existence.
Fiaura, you're showing your Discord.
Yeah,
You're
that was
showing
an
your
accident.
adult
Please
Discord.
don't clip that. Yeah, that was an accident. Is this unplugged?
But anyway, now that you've all had your nightmare fuel for the week, I do have one extra picture. Yes, I do have one extra picture.
You have
Uh-oh.
another
And this
one?
Yeah, no, it's nothing to do with Jasper's therapy now. By the way, if you also look at the previous picture, you'll notice that Aeon has also ripped a dimensional hole in Dr. Wolf's office because he wants another slice of that pie.
Oh my!
No, I'll put it like this. Because this is here's something I would legit do. I'd probably just sim through his books because I'm a hardcore bibliophile. I cannot buy enough books. I cannot possess enough books.
But yeah, so I do have one more picture, and this one is slightly special. I've been messing with textures for a couple of weeks now and got it just right. And it's going to be the first of an entire series for all of you. So, Fiaura, you know like how you change the icon when people are talking?
Okay, hold on, everybody. Having
Go on.
technical difficulty and technical
Yeah,
difficulty.
well-
Fun difficulty?
That's those icons and those text bubbles,
God damn it.
they are a little bit crusty, they're a little bit bad. So what I'm doing for everybody is I'm adding some extra visuals, and eventually everyone in this podcast will get one. And it is a full stained glass piece of each of our ponies holding a bottle of barbecue sauce, and this is the first one.
When it uploads.
That is awesome.
That looks pretty cool.
Spyro, you didn't have to do that. That's still cool.
Yeah.
It's a trap.
No, this one is not a trap. Everybody will get one of them. So, like, rather than just the cropped JPEG images, it can go across this wall of stained glass ponies.
So,
I still think it's a trap.
so what we can do now, when all of these are done, we could replace our current background with the stained glass.
I think that would be awesome.
Yeah.
And you could actually do a thing if you have the walls of these different stained glasses. Do a thing where like the person who's speaking is a full color stained glass and the other's gray out.
Oh yeah, like that.
Welcome to the cathedral of reviewing.
Well, I think you guys,
Saint Fiora's gonna...
you guys don't quite get how this actually has to work. Is the way the image comes up when someone's talking is I basically have to switch to the background no words, and then I have to manually bring them up. So, yeah, I can do it, and it would knock it down to 1 instead of 2. So because it has the name at the bottom, it's entirely doable. It's just it's a difficult process.
It's a lot to set up.
Yeah,
You have to build
it would have to be something I entirely set up before the stream and actually test first to make sure it was either the same amount of work or less, because that's why it doesn't automatically pop up when someone just starts talking, because it's not an auto pop-up. There's no way to automatically do it. I have to manually put it up.
Yeah, because you have to put the unsaturated or black and white versions in the background. In the foreground, you have to put the color versions, and you have to set that all up for every.
Anyway.
Yeah, this one though, how I designed it would be like whoever's talking, that image would just be on screen. I don't think you could get away with putting anything else in the background. It would just be the wall with the stained glass inside of the wall.
No, that is absolutely beautiful. But in the meantime, we have to close out for you guys.
Because we've gone on for almost 2 hours.
And honestly, no, we've gone for an hour and 39 minutes. And honestly, in saying that is one of the best pieces of artwork I've seen you do.
Thank you.
So, with that said, Aeon, you being our guest, you have the right to close out first. What we do during closeout is I will repost your channel, but you also have the opportunity to talk about any work you're coming up with or that's going to come out soon. Such as last week, Josh Scorcher announcing that as soon as the podcast was over, he was going to release his next video.
All right, well, it was lovely talking with you, dearies. Thanks for having me on. It was a lot of fun. A good discussion. When I get my lines sent in, there is going to be another project with Lightning Bliss that I'm doing, and you're going to see a fan favorite return for that event at some point. We don't have an exact release date for it, but it should be soon.
And where can we find you, Mr. Aeon of Dreams?
Sorry, what? The only one, I was going to see if I can get back into some solo vids. They're going to be lightly edited. Probably something about character writing, and I'm debating whether or not to, and it would be relevant in the topic, some Psychonaut perspective on character writing. If you guys know what a Psychonaut is.
I only know the game.
Oh, no. It's not a...
Aww.
I'm not referring to the game. I'm actually referring to it's named for people who like experiment with alternating forms of consciousness, but they're not doing it necessarily for hedonism. It's more for like self-development or like self-exploration. So I've dabbled a little bit in that here and there, and I was gonna use that to examine like the concept of character writing from someone who does these self-explorations.
So, Bernie Critic, go ahead and let us know what you're up to.
Well, sorry, my computer's lagging behind a little bit, so it's a little hard for me to get full connections, but I am the Brony Critic. I am currently working on I'm in the editing phase of my next script. It should be done fairly soon. It's going to be a little bit more complex. It's going to be one of my Brony Bit segments where I focus on the collective work of an entire creator rather than just a single work. It's going to be for Crusader. I am then going to... I already know what my next... I'm already working on the pre-writing for my next video as well, which is going to be an analysis of the Count of Monte Cristo series of animatics by Inkpots. You guys will be able to find out and get updates about what's going on and just kind of talk with me on Twitter at The Brony Critic. You can also find me on YouTube as well.
Thank you, everybody, so much for watching this episode of the Reviewers Web. If you want to follow me, you can follow me on the YouTubes, the Twitters, the Facebooks. I'm all over the place. For what I have in store for you guys, I'm busy working on a few scripts for a few collabs that I'm going to do with some of my friends in the Rift City. I got a few other solo videos that I may do. And since I did see Beast Morphers, I may actually do maybe a first impressions on the first episode of it, because I really did enjoy it. If I'm anything to go by Jasper, you may like it. I don't know how you like your Power Rangers, but I at least enjoyed it. So that's it for me. Moon Knight, down to you.
After Moonlight's done, can I actually promote a website project I just found? It's an MLP thing.
Sure. When we get to the end, we'll let you do that at the end.
All right, thank you.
Gone. So Moon Knight, you there?
Yeah, I'm here. I'm Moon Knight. Thanks for watching. I hope you had fun, especially with Aeon and the artworks around. But as for me, I actually don't know what I'm gonna do in the near future. I'll probably do some videos here and there, but probably not so much because I'm actually going to, real life and stuff. But yeah, I'll try to post it eventually. I mean, I'm not really that big of a YouTuber. I just do this for fun, like most people do. But yeah, I'll try to post some stuff here and there.
Okay, Master Code.
Anyway, thank you all for joining us for another fantabulous, super duper awesome podcast. This has been your Master Code Super Awesome Ace Analyst once again, and you can find me on YouTube in terms of collabs and future stuff. I'm going to be doing a collab on Nightmare Nights comic, the season 9 opener, and quite recently the 200th episode. So that'll be in the future. I'm going to be reviewing a couple of different comics here and there between episodes and just to fill in the gaps. And yep, that's all on for me. Of course, editing, analysis, anarchy, and on to Jasper.
Right now, I am currently debating on whether I should come in next week or not.
Oh, but we like you.
Do you?
What could go wrong?
We'll miss you, Jasper.
Jasper, again, I brought this up at the beginning before we started. Who did I choose to sit in front of at HRPC for both dinners?
Ah, yes, but here's the thing. Now I'm debating coming in because of you flopping artists. You artists!
I mean...
You artists and you bitches!
I mean, he picks on one of us every week. Did you see the thing he did to me for New Year's?
Alright, fine. I'll probably come in next week anyway. Can't just let me have my dramatic moment.
So how about this? How about instead of Aeon popping out of the cake, we'll have Golden pop out of the cake? Will that be better?
That does the opposite of help!
Say what?
That sounds like Golden would be popping out of the cake with the tranquilizer gun.
Ooh, I'd be up for that.
Okay, but for realsies. During this week, I'll mostly be writing for this audio job I'm doing, audio editing for TF2 analysis, and actually, comic commissions are still open, so if you want to see a comic by the Jasper, book now. Please. I need monies. Watchmojo's kind of screwing me over. Please.
Hey, Jasper, do you want to feel just slightly better? There's 2 people in chat who literally said if you leave Jasper, they'll be sad forever.
They will cry every time.
So you have at least 2 fans here.
Alright, fine.
Insane.
I mean, the New Year's one was more a jab at myself, but if you want me to reverse the roles for next New Year, I can easily do that for you.
I'm good. I'm good.
please,
Please don't ruin the nice thing you did this week with the horrible things you've done in the past.
I'm surprised you
Yes.
haven't hit me or Brony Critic yet.
Oh, there's still time. After all, you were saying some interesting things this
39.
week.
There's
Oh,
39 weeks left in the year. Trust me, he'll get to you.
Well, yes, I am Insane Spyro, the greatest dragon in gaming, and the owner of the magic brush that craves for this week's art and is deciding who to pick for the next stained glass. As well as that, I do a lot of YouTube stuff. I have currently got all the lines and footage for Anthem, and it's half put together in Camtasia. I've got to finish that off because it's nearly 2 hours long because we go into every detail. And I am also recording footage of the very first Fallout for a giant Fallout retrospective that's coming soon, as well as Let's Plays and other reviews, so you can find all that on my YouTube, as well as I stream on Twitch every now and again. Golden.
Okay. So hang on a second. I gotta pull up my notes again. Once again, it's great to be a part of this podcast. For any projects that are coming underway, I'm almost done with a huge review of Rarity Investigates, which has been in the works for the past couple of years, and I hope to get it done before this coming Friday. And there was another review that I meant to finish last month, but I never finished it. And in fact, I didn't upload anything during February, but hopefully you guys should be able to see some more content within this month and probably next month. In the meantime, you can check out my main channel, secondary channel, where I share recorded Let's Plays, which I've recently started doing, and my Twitch channel, where I actually where I host my Let's Plays in general. So until then, I hope you all have a good one.
And I have been your hostess. I am Fiaura the Tank Girl. I apologize that Lightning Bliss, Solar, and Thespia are not here this week. They're all at Brony D&D. But in the meantime, this is the last week to order the Traveling Pony Museum is helping me publish the Fallout Equestria Dead Tree book. This is the last week to order it. Orders will close at the end of the week, and then I will do final edits next week before we convert it into book form and start printing. I have 2 game analysis coming up, and I also have Ponies and Your Mind Part 2, which we're holding off on until after I finish the novel. Lastly, there is an animation for BabsCon that will feature myself, Keyframe, Aramu the Fiery, and several other people. But just to name people who are either going to be on the show or have already been on the show. That animation is coming out next week officially from BabsCon's YouTube channel. And, the next chapter for the Fallout Equestria is ready, and tonight at midnight I will be writing the prompt of what Phalanx has been doing before Twilight, or before Trixie and Starlight show up. See, even I get them confused, so I can't blame Ember. Before Trixie and Starlight show up tonight at midnight, which, for everybody's reference point, is in 3 hours. I will be back on stream doing Drunk Writing Stream, and we'll be writing that terrible, awful writing prompt that these guys got me to write. And it'll be the 3rd time that I've done a writing prompt for them. And apparently, every time I do a writing prompt for them, it's actually good, which means I can't say they're terrible people, or I can't say I'm a bad writer. I don't know which yet. And Aeon has a special link for us.
Yes, I put it in the content links, since I don't know the policy of just posting links in the chat. I just found this on social media during this podcast, and it's called ponemusic.net. And what these people have done is, allegedly, they have taken all the Brony music thus far and will continue to update it, and you can download pretty much every Brony song that they've been able to find, which hopefully is all of them. And you can download it as one large file in 3 settings. Apparently you can download it raw, which is 600 gigabytes of the raw file. You can have the high quality, which is 110, or the phone phone quality, quote unquote, which is 70 if you're tight on space. But I just thought it was cool because I don't know about you, but I like Brony music, so.
Okay. Well, I mean, that's incredibly useful. I'll pass that on to a couple of the con chairs that I'm in contact with because I know they would like to be able to figure out, who to invite for musicians.
I think this would be a good time to mention that at some point I was planning on making a countdown of what my favorite Brony songs are. And, Aeon, I could actually provide a link of that and mention it in the video.
Yeah, no, we were talking about nostalgia earlier, so the moment I saw that on social media, I'm just thinking like, oh yeah, I remember all this stuff, and it's like, yeah, this totally fits. So yeah, feel free to promote this because I think many people would appreciate it.
Oh yeah, just to find the old classics, that'd be great.
Anyway, does anybody have any final words they want to throw in?
You people.
Aeon
Thanks
of
for having me
Dreams.
on. Thanks for having me on, and thank you, dearie.
Thanks for being here. You were quite amazing, and we might, if down the road, we might ask you to come back if you're available.
Yeah, I should be free on Saturdays now. I had a lot of in real life stuff that I had to take care of. That's why it kept getting delayed. Sorry about that. But that stuff has been straightened out now.
Anyway, anybody else got final words?
Hold on, I
Aeon
want to
of
see if I
Fire.
can try and do the Aeon laugh. I want to see if I can do my best impression of him.
Oh, come on, that doesn't even stack,
Hello there,
stack up.
It's me, Aeon.
To
You
quote,
need to couple that with a sentence like, oh, we know you had fun, Jasper.
Oh, God.
Or just
I
say,
quote-
oh my.
I have to record.
to quote
Hello,
my favorite-
dearies. This is Aeon of Dreams.
You sound too Californian, Golden Fox.
Oh, screw you!
I just realized something terrible. I have to record Queen Quake's laugh tonight. My neighbors are gonna hate me.
Oh, the life I live is sad.
Good
Oh,
night,
the
everyone.
ships.
Goodbye,
night.
America.